So thank you for having me. Thank you for the interest in Lunatone and my presentation. The presentation is split up in 3 parts today. So first, I would like to introduce to Lunatone just a few minutes about the history of the company, where it started, where it's now. The second part is about DALI itself, and DALI-2, the differences. And the third part, the last part, is about the application example. So how can you make use from DALI-2? So first of all, let's start with the company. Already on the first picture, you can see this quite nice new building. This is the new building Lunatone built in 2019, where you already see goal of Lunatone is to extend their business, to extend the team, to hire more engineers, more development, and that's why this building was built in Vienna. But let's start from the beginning. Lunatone was started as M&R system 1993. It was a small team of university students. And they had a great idea. Let's do some technical projects, like technical equipment in the lighting industry, some lighting parts. And they did that kind of like small project. And then that developed in so much business that they decided, or actually Mr. Meyer, Alexander Meyer, decided to start his own business, which is called Lunatone Industrial Electronic, and is based in Vienna. And he is, until that day, still the CEO and of course the founder of the company. So time went by. Lunatone moved to a different building, and they decided that they want to build all their products in-house. They started with a production in Vienna, and then to extend their production, they built up this production facility in Bulgaria. And today, 100% of our products come either from Vienna or from Bulgaria. So in Bulgaria, the most of our products are produced, and the warehouse is still in Vienna. They moved to a different headquarters. You have seen the picture in the first slide. And the latest development, that's also where I am based. So I'm based not in Vienna, but in the west part of Austria. It's like 7 hours away. So Austria as a country is pretty small, but very long. And Lunatone decided to build up a new sales office to deliver better support to their customers, and also build up a better marketing team, so to say, to have better marketing material. We're also planning to do some YouTube video to just explain the products in a better way, do some brochures, because this was a bit lacking in the past. Lunatone has ever built nice and neat products, but they have missed the part where to actually sell and like communicate to the outside world that the products are have such an advantage over others. And yeah, and this sales and customer support office is based in Dornbirn, right next to the big mountains and the ski areas. So if you like to go skiing, just try to organize a visit at our headquarters, and you can combine with skiing. So I introduced the company. I missed to introduce myself. So I work for Lunatone since like actually only 2 months. But I moved over from Tridonic. I was working for Tridonic before for several years. So I have some experience in the lighting business, and I started my professional career in the access control business. I moved over to lighting. Was first living in Munich, and then I moved to the beautiful Austria. Good, but enough of the introduction. Let's let's start with the interesting stuff, DALI and DALI-2. First of all, who is, let's put it in another term, who has installed a DALI system already, like with their own hands? Okay, good, good. I won't ask any questions, so no worries. Yeah, some of you did. Some of you may have not so much experience with DALI. That's why I would like to begin with the very basics. Just like not too many information, but just to briefly bring everybody kind of to the same level. So DALI, what's so special about DALI, or what are the benefits of DALI? It can be wired in a very easy way. So you can use the same cable as for the mains voltage. You need a 5-core cable, 3 are for the mains and the 2 are for the DALI bus. So very simple. Bus and supply, so that's always something you have to keep in the back of your mind. A DALI installation, a DALI bus needs its power supply. But bus power supply can be up to 250 milliamps. So that's like kind of a DALI regulation. Now you would think, why do they do it? Why not unlimited? Of course, you have to design the devices to be compatible on every installation. So you need kind of a standard. 250 milliamps is the standard per DALI line. You have 64 addresses available for gears. Now it's getting already exciting and new. With DALI-2, you get another 64 addresses. But that's only for the controls. So you can have 64 gears. With gears, I mean light fixtures or relays. It's also gears or actors. And additionally to that, 64 of controls, like something like this, like input devices. They use a different address area. But you're gonna see that in the software as well. I have something prepared. And controls, also maybe a nice thing to know. Controls, so those devices, if they are not too power consuming, then you can consume them via the DALI line. So those devices don't need mains power. They are powered by the DALI line. And how could such a setup look like? So this is a typical installation. You have the power, the DALI bus power supply, coincidentally from Lunatone. It supplies the bus with 80 milliamps, and then you have the consuming devices, which could be that device you see here, a sensor, and a luminaire itself. The driver of the luminaire needs also power from the DALI line to have kind of this controlling ability. And then what you need to do when you plan such a installation, okay, I have 80 milliamps. Now I need to add all those consuming devices. And if it's less than 80, then I'm fine. So pretty simple. In the first example, you have seen that the DALI bus power supply was a separate unit. But if you want to have a neat and simple, most efficient setup, you can also use an input device with an integrated power supply. So this version is also available with an integrated power supply. That makes it more convenient for small installation, because this one already supplies 70 milliamps. But the same rules apply for the other devices, of course. 70 milliamps, then you need to take care or need to see what else is connected to the DALI bus, add this, and then see if it's sufficient. Next are the controls, the commands. So in DALI, you distinguish between 3 different kind of control terms, which is broadcast, DALI group, and DALI addresses. And there are also scenes, which I forgot here. But you will see that as well in the software. commands broadcast means everything on the DALI bus does the same. So I send out this command, everything on the DALI bus who receives this command is doing something. This is a broadcast. DALI group, if I send something on DALI group 5, every driver, every gear, every relay in that group does that command. And with the DALI address, it's just a single address, so a single device. So groups and scenes, they are saved where? In the gear. That's always important. So those, I have here also some gear. So it's a RGBW controls the LED module. And in those devices, the group and the scenes are saved, are stored. So not in the controls. The controls tells only, oh, I want to say something to the group, right? But the group, the definition of the group, who belongs to the group is always stored in the gear. And the addressing is done always in a random way. That's maybe also something important which you need to know, that if I start the addressing with the DALI, then the addressing will be always done randomly. So they get like different addresses. But it doesn't really matter because you always work with group and then single addresses, but how the addresses are set up, it's not that of an issue. And then you have the possibility to group those devices, so those different addresses get then different groups in a way you want to design it, you want to plan the room. And the scenes could then look like this. Middle 100%, the outside lighting is off, so there are endless possibilities to build up scenes and groups. But you have to remember that groups are limited, or the amount of groups are limited in scenes. 16 scenes are available and 16 groups. So now you wonder, how is this addressing done? How can I access the bus? So somehow I need to contact those devices, right? And there are multiple approaches. So you could use this BT5 controller, which has the possibility to do that via the phone. And I will show it to you that right now, because at least I'm trying to do so. So I did a very sad thing. I created a Teams call with myself. Very desperate. But I will add my phone to it, and then I share the screen. It's just a simple way to show you what I'm doing on the phone. There's an app, free download, room controller. So you have the device to access. It's that device actually who can access the DALI bus. Then you will be able to see, oh, there's a room controller, which I can connect to. And I can do the whole addressing, configuration, the setup of the devices here. And I can also control the installation. So I can dim up, dim down, tunable white, cold white, warm white, RGB, different colors. So yeah, I mean, nothing too special. But it's set up in a way that it's as easiest as possible to set up, to configure the system, and to use the system to control the devices. For example, I can add a button, here button, then give it a name, on. Now it's in, but doesn't matter. Go to max, for example, done. Just a short press, then effective range. I want to control all the luminaires. Done. So if they are off, I click here on that button, and then they are on. Also with the configuration, you see here all the devices I have on the DALI bus. And for example, this device, this X-Cross switch, it has 4 buttons. So if I want to change something, the behavior of a button, I can do that in a very simple way. So T1, so the button 1, Taste 1, is currently switched to toggle on off, 5%. On group 0, if I want to change the toggle, that it should be going to 100%, then it does save. And once it's done, then it should go to 100%, so it's brighter, yeah. So it's just a very neat and easy way to do a small installation. That's also why it's called room controller, and it comes with its own powered DALI line, DALI supply. So there's 200 milliamp of DALI power supply already built in, so you just need that device, and then you can add whatever you want to the DALI line. Also various luminaires. You can use the phone for the configuration and also for the controlling of the luminaire. So very simple. But now, going back to the presentation, stop sharing. You might have the necessity to build up a bigger installation, right? With more settings, more configuration. Then I would suggest to use the DALI cockpit. The DALI cockpit is a free software from Lunatone, which is able to communicate with the DALI bus, to address the devices, and just to give them configuration and tell them what to do. And for that, of course, you would need a DALI USB or something similar, just access the DALI bus. So that's, in my example, I've used now a cable, but they do exist also with a hotspot possibility, so you can access it via the Wi-Fi and just move around without a cable. But in theory, they work the same way. They just give you an access to the DALI bus. And how does the DALI cockpit look like? I can show that to you as well. So DALI cockpit, open it. It's just like a piece of software. It does look a bit like from the 90s, but it's very sufficient and it does what it's supposed to do. So if I start with a new installation, I always do the addressing, of course. The devices need an address. That's how it works. What I can also do here, I can test DALI commands. So I want to send a broadcast, for example, that's defined here. So I can play around with the DALI. So commands is, for example, direct arc power. Direct arc power means that the luminaires should go to a certain light level. And that's called in DALI direct arc power. So if that command is sent through the DALI line, the gears know how to behave. And I can do that here as well. So I don't see if it works or not, because so if I click send now, they should dim down. No? Okay, so I misclicked maybe. And if I go to 100% like this, then they should bright up. So it's just an easy way to see if all the devices on the DALI bus work. If I now do the addressing, I have different options. I can read existing devices, so if they are addressed already, I don't need to do the addressing again. But if I have a complete new installation, I just click that. I don't need to care about anything, because the addressing is anyway randomly, so it doesn't matter really. So I will read the existing installation, and you can see now that it takes a bit. Now you get also an understanding how long it can take, for example, for those devices. I don't know, I didn't count them. Feel like 10, probably, a bit more. And one by one, they'll get added in this kind of tree. And you will have an overview about the whole installation. And right away, you will see, okay, there are addresses which have normal numbers, and then there are addresses with this kind of, what is it, square? Hoch 2, what is it in English? Like the small 2 on the top of the square? Yeah. Quadrat, yeah, but that's German. It's also in English? Ah, in Dutch. Okay. Yeah, square. Ah, yeah. True. And then there you can see that those devices get somehow a different address, or a different address level area. And those are the DALI-2 controls devices. So that's the idea. So they won't count to the 64 of the gears. They are in this different segment, and they count on the 64 addresses of the controls. So that's something, and they have also different colors. So it's just like a visual, like a visualization that you see. Okay, they are not part of the normal 64 addresses for gears. So I told you already that groups and scenes are not saved in the controls device, in input devices. They are saved in the gears, in the drivers, or in actors, like a relay. So to see that, to show you that, I can quickly go to a device. So this is a two-channel constant voltage driver. 2 channels means it has also 2 addresses. And it's one device with 2 addresses, so I can log into each address, so to say. I see the address here. If I hover over the item, you see A3. Okay, it's address A3. And it's in group 0 and 2. So that means gears can be in multiple groups as well. And if I want to change the group or undo the group, just with a click of a button, then 1, save, and then it's saved in group 1. And with the scenes, it's done in the same way. So you have scene 0 means, okay, this device, if a scene 0 command is sent over the bus, that means this device knows, okay, hey, scene 0, there's something saved in my storage, so to say, to go to 30%. And then then this device will react accordingly. I can also try to set the device to a certain level to test it. So what I'm trying to say, with this program, you have way more functionalities than just with your phone. So if you have a more extensive setup, then it's best to use the DALI cockpit. The DALI cockpit is a free download, so the software doesn't cost any money. And you have the possibility to set up the DALI network. That's maybe also something which is better on DALI than on KNX, because this morning you heard why KNX is so much better than DALI-2 or DALI. So this is something which is better on DALI, because the software, at least the software is for free. You don't need any licenses to install a project. So that was the DALI basics. So what changed with DALI-2? We heard already, okay, there's a new kind of more addresses available, but they've done also some other things. Bug fixing is one of it. I mean, pretty clear. There was like some things didn't happen, so I do some bug fixing, but like nothing to talk about here. Sorry. More commands, also some like minor stuff. But there are 2 which I think are the main like interesting topics with DALI-2, or the changes to DALI-2. That's the DALI power supply and the possibilities there, and the controls are finally defined. Because you must know, in DALI-2, the controls, like such things, they were not really defined. The gears were defined, the drivers, but the gears, the DALI controls, they were not really defined, and how they should communicate to each other. And that improved a lot. So DALI power supply, what's so special, or what are the news? We have now the possibility to connect multiple bus power supplies. So that means if you have, like, if you remember the first example, okay, with this device I can do 80 milliamps. Now think about an installation where the customer wants to add and add devices, not another room, another floor, yes, like extension of a building, and wants to use the same DALI line. Then it could come in handy that you can add now another bus power supply. So you can add like another piece of this, and then it's 80 plus 80. But of course, if you want to do that, you have to pay attention to polarity. So minus needs to be connected to minus and plus to plus, because otherwise, big explosion. Probably not with 16 volts, but but it won't work. I mean, That's then the downside. They won't break, but it won't work. So just be careful about that. And controls, like I said, the most important part of DALI-2, in my opinion, is that the controls are finally defined. And now you differ between a single master controller, a multi-master controller. Then there is something like instance modes, which I'm going to explain in a few seconds. And best part of it, there's a collision detection. That means multiple application controller work on the same DALI light without interfering themselves. And the special addresses for control device, which we have spoken about already. So, how does a single master controller work? A single master controller, I know it's heavy stuff for a Thursday afternoon, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. This is, in that case, in that example, is the single master controller. What does it do? It tells the luminaires how they should behave. So it means, okay, if motion is detected, dim up the light to, I don't know, 100%. After a while, if no motion is detected anymore, dim down to 30, and then after 5 minutes off, right? And they communicate that direct to the driver. If I want to add another controls device on the same DALI line, then it was not allowed that this controls device speaks also directly to the drivers. I don't know what's happening with my mouse here, but you get the idea. So it was this part no possible. No. So single master, even today, you can still with DALI-2, you can certify a device for a single master controller, but then it doesn't work with other master controllers. So it's not, my eyes, not advisable. That's also the Lunatone approach. The Lunatone approach is that every device has the multi-master capabilities. So it's very, very easy for the customer to understand. And also it's very, I mean, you don't have to think a lot about of the installation. You can just add devices, and you know already, okay, they don't interfere with each other. So in that case, this device talks to the LED drivers, but also this device talks to the LED driver. If I would add another input device with an application controller, it would also speak to them directly. And those devices, they get the same command over the DALI line, but they know how to behave and how to handle it. So that's the multi-master approach. Now it gets really, really weird because there's also an instance mode. With instance modes, it's quite, I mean, simply speaking, it's just those devices are then not used to control the lights directly. Those devices are made, so to say, stupid. And all they send is, okay, if somebody clicks like the button 1, this reaction or the button click, so only the information that this button was clicked will be sent to an application controller. For example, like a Wago BMS controller, big BMS controller. This controller needs information from other devices, from input devices, and this device can be set up in this instance mode. There's that a Wago controller, like a unit which is handling all the processes and all the, let's say, intelligent, is handling then all the stuff. So there, the information will be sent, okay, T1 is pressed. But nothing happens. You need to tell this controller, hey, if T1 is pressed, then do something with the lights. Also with the sensors, goes back first here, and then this knows, okay, how to behave, and then it goes to the LED drivers. So it's a bit of like a different approach. And those instances, like pressing of T1, so this is defined with DALI-2. So the manufacturer of a BMS, of a central controller, knows exactly, according to the standard, what can be sent to him as like an input, and it and then control the devices accordingly to what is set up in the installation. So, but to show you that in like a more, let's say, practical way, I've prepared some examples. First of all, the room, like small applications. So with that setup, which is shown here, you can already work even without, that's also pretty important, even without the configuration. So you don't need necessarily, you don't need this USB mini or the access to the DALI line to start working with, because this has like this unit has an out-of-the-box behavior. So it knows already when I press input 1, all the lights should go to 100%. And by the second button press, like it's like a kind of a toggle mode. With the second button press, everything goes down to 0% again. It will be sent broadcast. And all the DALI luminaires already without a configuration work with that. Of course, if you want to set up devices to a different behavior, then you need to access those devices and do the configuration. But that's maybe something, if you have an installation, just a few weeks, maybe somebody is not ready who does the configuration, you can set up these devices already, and they control already the light in a simple way. And this comes with a DALI bus power supply, and that's why you don't need a separate device for the bus power. So it's a very simple and neat setup. So, but as we have learned, there are more possibilities. So I can also add another sensor. So the customer is fine for a while with the luminaire and the switch, but now he wants to add a sensor. And as I just explained, that's also no problem, because this has an application controller inside. So that means it has the possibility to control this light directly, and the sensor has the same capabilities. So the sensor also speaks to the luminaire directly. But they don't interfere each other, because DALI-2 has this collision management already built in. So after a while, he is bored by touching a switch, and sensor is nice, but he wants to shut off all the lights at a certain time. Then, no problem. Lunatone has also something for that purpose. It's called RTC timer. RTC stands for real-time clock. In that device, you can control the light on a certain time. So you tell them device, okay, shut off all the lights, so arc power 0 or off would be the command. You configure that in a way that it should send this command at a certain time or a certain day. With the built-in clock, it knows exactly, okay, it's Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Let's shut off all the lights, or on, or 80%, so there are endless possibilities. Okay, we've done that. Perfect. Customer's happy. Then, half a year later, he comes with the next idea. Okay, now he wants tunable white. Of course, no problem. We install tunable white luminaires, multiple of them, as you can see. Then we recognize, oh no, the DALI power supply is not enough. We need to add another power supply. No problem. With DALI-2, you have the possibility to add more power supplies. So all good. Works fine. Then, of course, he wants to control the tunable white luminaires, but he doesn't, as you remember, he's like even tired of using a switch. So we can use this device. This is a circadian rhythm module, which sends automatically the circadian rhythm, so temperature, color temperature commands every few minutes. And that's done in an automatic way. So you can set it up. It knows the location and has already like a default setup what the temperature according to circadian rhythm, according to the sun should be. And then the commands every minute will be sent out to dim and to put the color temperature in a certain way. And you can also change the settings of the color temperature each hour. And in between, this is like kind of a simulation. But every minute will be a command will be sent to the Juniper white luminaires. So that was the room. So already a pretty crazy installation for one room. But if the installation gets bigger, then there are other devices which can help you. For example, we have the 7-inch display, which has also emergency functionality. And this 7-inch display can work with 4 DALI lines. So it has the possibility to talk to 4 DALI lines. When you have the display, there is no necessity to get one of those, like a connection module, because you can, via Wi-Fi, you can connect to those displays and connect to the DALI bus. Use the DALI software, the DALI cockpit, and access the DALI bus to do your settings. And each DALI line can then be equipped with whatever you like, right? Of course, you need a DALI bus power supply. They come also in different models. So there's a DIN rail variant in this picture. You have several touch panel sensors, multiple luminaires, and also important to mention, emergency is as well possible. So frequent emergency luminaire tests, like the function test and the duration test, according to the regulations, can be done via these displays. And if a luminaire is faulty, you get a report, can send yourself the report via email. You can access the display through TCP/IP. So this has the possibility to be connected to the local network, and then you have an easy way to access it. So that's the floor example. We can go even bigger, building-wide. We have modules which can each be connected to 4 DALI lines, and those can be connected to each other, right? And they talk over TCP/IP to kind of a central control module, which then be connected either to the cloud, to KNX. I mean, KNX is good. It's something you've learned today in the morning. So if you have the necessity to have KNX in the system, I mean, you know that there are DALI gateways existing to connect KNX installation to DALI, and also to talk from KNX to DALI and vice versa. So REST API is also BACnet, is a possibility to connect a BMS controller to a DALI line. So this is something Lunatone has also in his portfolio. Yeah. So, quick summary. Why DALI? I mean, that's something I've tried to explain you. Why DALI is a nice way to control the light. It's interoperable, hard word. But you know what I mean. They work with each other very well. You don't need to take care. And the best thing is, but DALI, it's been there. I forgot to tell you about the whole history of DALI, but there's no time anyway. But DALI was developed in the 90s and released end of the 90s. So it's been there now for 30 years almost. And that means there was a lot of testing, a lot of proof that it works. There are a lot of customers and manufacturers and products out there to choose from, right? And that's always a benefit, that you don't have just one single manufacturer doing something, but having multiple manufacturers doing the same thing according to a standard. And that's I think the most relevant benefit of DALI, that it's so widely known and existing and also installed. Millions of devices are installed already. It's future-proof, because as you have seen, you can, on an existing installation, you can now with DALI-2 extend the installation very easily. You can add another bus DALI power supply with multiple application controllers. You don't have to worry about a single master controller and if it can get implemented, if it's compatible. those devices, if they are DALI-2 certified as multi-application controller, then you can be sure that they work together. Always good to try out first. That's what we do as well, if there's a customer request, of course, but according to the standard, it should work fine together. It's easy to install, can use 5-core cable, install it with 230 volts, and the functionality is always pretty broad. Thank you for your attention. I mean, this is something yesterday, maybe just a quick note. This is something yesterday came up. There were a lot of questions about this device, so I thought I'd bring it up today as well. This is something Lunatone has released recently, and this is, I already put it here, kind of a problem solver. If you have a DALI installation and you have one part which you want to kind of a distance where you are not able to put cables to, or you don't want to, you can use those bridge units to have one part done wirelessly and bridge it to extended installation. That means, in simple words, I have a long cable. This is my DALI line, right? I cut it through with a knife, put on one end a module, on the other end a module, and those are connected wirelessly. There's the same functionality. The commands can be sent that way or the other way. It doesn't matter. And you can also connect to one master module. I mean, they're called master, but it's the same module. It's just a way how to set them up. So they are not different devices, actually the same device or same module, same variant. One master unit can be connected to up to 10 slave units, and they appear, if you remember, the little neat program from Lunatone, the DALI cockpit. So if you use those bridges, the wireless bridges to several DALI sublines, they will all appear as one big DALI line. And the same rules apply. So up to 64 devices. So it will show up as one DALI line, but you can spread this DALI line, because with the help of these bridges, to different places without the need of wiring a cable. Thank you very much for the attention, and I see you later.